Austin and I, we were supposed to be the real deal, the kind of couple people look at and say, wow, they've got it figured out. We met young, fell hard, and built a life together that felt like a fortress. 10 years of marriage, 2 amazing kids, a house in the suburbs. It was the picture-perfect life I had always dreamed of. Brooke was my everything. She was the calm to my storm, the logic to my creative chaos. Her smile could light up my darkest days, and the sound of her laughter was my favorite song. We had our ups and downs, like any couple, but I never once doubted our foundation. I thought we were unshakable. Forever wasn't just a word for us. It was a promise, a plan. I'd look at her across the dinner table, watching her help the kids with their homework, and my heart would just swell. This was my life, my family, my future. I was the luckiest man alive. Little did I know. The fortress I thought we had built was already crumbling from the inside, and I was about to be buried in the rubble. The change was subtle at first, almost unnoticeable. It started with her phone. Brooke, who used to leave her phone lying around without a care, suddenly had it glued to her hand. Ash! It was always face down on the table or tucked away in her purse. She started staying up later than me, bathed in the blue glow of her screen, claiming she was just scrolling through social media or catching up on emails. I didn't think much of it. We all get lost in our phones sometimes, right? Then came the late nights at work. As a graphic designer, her hours could be unpredictable, but this was different. It became a regular thing, 2 or 3 times a week. She'd come home smelling faintly of a cologne that wasn't mine, looking exhausted but with a strange, almost nervous energy about her. I'd ask about her day, and her answers became vague, clipped. Just a tough project, she'd say, avoiding my eyes. The intimacy, the easy connection we always had, started to fade. Our late-night talks were replaced by silence. Her touch, which used to be so natural and loving, felt distant, almost obligatory. I tried to talk to her about it, gently at first. Is everything okay, Brooke? You seem distant. Should just brush it off. I'm just tired, Austin. Work is stressful. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things. Every marriage goes through phases, I reasoned. We were just in a rough patch. We'd get through it. We always did. But a knot of dread was tightening in my stomach, a cold, hard feeling that I just couldn't shake. The final piece of the puzzle, the one that shattered my denial, came from our shared computer. I needed to print some documents for work, and our home printer was connected to the old desktop in the study. As I was looking for the file, I noticed the cloud storage was synced with her phone. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was just trying to find my document. But then I saw it, a folder labeled projects. It seemed innocent enough, but my gut screamed at me to open it. My hand was shaking as I clicked it. It wasn't work projects, it was photos. Dozens of them. It's photos of Brooke with another man. They were at restaurants I'd never been to with her, parks we'd never visited together. We're smiling, laughing, holding hands. In one photo, he had his arm wrapped around her, and she was looking up at him with an expression I had unseen on her face in years, an expression of pure adoration. It was a look she used to give me. Then I saw the messages. They weren't just flirty texts. They were declarations of love, plans for a future, their future, not ours. My world just stopped. The air was sucked from my lungs. Every beat of my heart was a physical blow. The screen blurred through my tears. This wasn't a rough patch. This was a demolition. He was a colleague, someone she had mentioned in passing as just a friend from work. All the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the distance. It all clicked into place. It wasn't a story I was making up in my head. It was real, and it was happening. The confrontation was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I waited until the kids were asleep, the house quiet except for the frantic pounding in my chest. I sat her down on the sofa, the same sofa where we had cuddled and watched movies for years. I couldn't even look at her. I just turned the laptop around and showed her the screen. The silence that followed was deafening. She didn't deny it. She couldn't. She just stared at the photos, her face pale, and then she started to cry, but her tears brought me no comfort. All I felt was a cold, empty rage. How long I managed to choke out. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months, half a year of lies. Half a year of me thinking we were just in a slump while she was building a new life with someone else. She She tried to explain, to give excuses. She said she felt neglected, that we had grown apart, that he saw her in a way I didn't anymore. Every word was a dagger. She was trying to blame me, to shift the responsibility for her betrayal onto my shoulders. I had given her everything. I worked hard to provide for our family. I was an involved father. I thought I was a good husband. Was I perfect? No. But did I deserve this? Absolutely not. I told her I couldn't be in the same house with her. The trust, the very foundation of our entire life together, was gone. It had been incinerated by her lies. That night, she packed a bag and went to a hotel. I was left alone in the house we had built together, surrounded by the ghosts of a future that would never happen. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of pain. Telling the kids was agony. We tried to do it together, to present a united front for their sake. But how do you explain something like this to a 7 and a 9-year-old? How do you tell them that mommy and daddy aren't going to live together anymore because mommy broke daddy's heart? We kept it simple, telling them we needed some space, but that we both loved them more than anything. Seeing the confusion and hurt in their eyes broke me all over again. The legal process was a cold, sterile nightmare of paperwork and meetings. Dividing our assets, our life, into 2 separate columns, it felt so clinical, so detached from the emotional wreckage I was living in. Some days the anger was all that kept me going. It was a fuel, burning away the sadness. Other days the grief was a crushing weight, and I could barely get out of bed. I was a ghost in my own life. I'd see couples holding hands on the street and feel a pang of jealousy so sharp it took my breath away. Everything reminded me of her, of what we had lost. The hardest part was accepting that the woman I had loved, the woman I had planned to grow old with, didn't exist anymore. Or maybe she never really existed at all. Maybe I had been in love with a version of her that I had created in my own mind. That thought was almost more painful than the betrayal itself. It's been over a year now. The divorce is final. Brooke is with him and they've moved in together. I have the kids most of the time. Rebuilding has been the most difficult journey of my life, but slowly, very slowly, I'm starting to see the light again. The first step was letting myself feel everything. The anger, the sadness, the confusion. I talked to a therapist, which was a game changer. Having a safe space to unload all the pain without judgment was crucial. I also leaned heavily on my friends and family. They were my rock, reminding me that I wasn't alone. I started focusing on myself and the kids. We started new traditions. Friday night is now our boys' night with pizza and video games. We go on hikes. We build forts in the living room. I'm rediscovering who Austin is without Brooke. I've started working out again, reading more, even trying to learn the guitar that's been collecting dust for years. There are still bad days. Days when a memory hits me out of nowhere and the pain feels fresh, but they are becoming fewer and farther between. The scars are still there, and I know they always will be. But they are no longer open wounds. They are reminders of a battle I survived. My vision of forever was shattered, but I'm learning that forever isn't about one single path. It's about resilience. It's about finding the strength to write a new story, even when the last chapter ended in heartbreak. My new forever is about my kids, about my own growth, and about the hope that one day I can trust and love again. It's a different picture than the one I started with, but it's mine. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to feel okay with that. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, just know you're not alone, and it does get better. Take it one day at a time. Let's follow 4 more stories about life, loss, and finding your way back.